everybody? It's your boy Todd Smith here once again. We got another episode of No Gimmicks Podcast alongside my tag team partner Dale Clifford out there in Fernley, Nevada. Dale, what is good, my man?
NXT Takeover Chicago, I think, is the easiest way to say what is good on this Saturday night. This show absolutely delivered from opening match all the way through to the end, and I think what better place to start than the main event in trying to break down our good, bad, ugly. Definitely kind of had a sour ending, though.
As one Mr. Stone Cold Steve Austin would say, give me a hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah, Dale.
Hell yeah.
That was a phenomenal show. I mean, from top to bottom. And let's go ahead and jump right into this main event here. So we had the Authors of Pain taking on DIY for the NXT tag titles in a ladder match. So this is good, the bad, and the ugly of NXT Takeover Chicago. So let's start off with the good of this match here. First off, very well-worked match between these two teams and intense to boot. We possibly got the best showing that we have seen from out of the Authors of Pain since they have arrived in NXT. Dale, what's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, and as we've continued to say, with Authors of Pain, their strong showings came with the hands of DIY or the Revival, and here was once again Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, DIY, helping along the Authors of Pain, and just wow, what a match this thing was. Couple of the high spots that came in this match were two that I think that are going to qualify into our ugly aspect of this match, but wow, this match is absolutely delivered for sure. And obviously, I'll just swing right into kind of the bad here. The downside of this match is ultimately what happened after AOP retained, and that was the return of the Psycho Killer, Tommaso Ciampa, as he takes down Johnny Gargano, and thus ending DIY. And kind of the bad here is, where is the NXT Tag Team division after this turn by Ciampa?
Yeah, I do not know. I love the way that this heel turn was executed. I can't really say anything about it because Tommaso Ciampa, I could kind of see the frustration building over the last couple months as they continued, to get just so close to winning the NXT tag titles and capturing them from the Authors of Pain and yet coming up short. And I guess they kind of, played up the fact even this match that Tommaso Ciampa had to kind of like, dive in front of Johnny Gargano to take a bullet from him, or to take a bullet for him during one of the latter spots. But it's like, I mean, he absolutely brutalized his former tag team partner. We saw 2 punts. And I remember the WWE actually banned Orton from using the punt. So they brought that back. And then we also saw an air raid crash from off of the top of the announcer's table through some tables off of the stage. That was just insane there. So my whole thing is, I mean, besides the fact that we have AOP, we've got Heavy Machinery, we've got Tino Sabatelli and Riddick Moss, and is there anyone else that we could really think of that they have as tag teams right now? Because we know that TM61 is on the shelf.
No, I can't think anybody. I don't know how long Team 6-1 is going to be out of action, but right now this is basically just setting up to be AOP versus Heavy Machinery now at this point.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm okay with, but I mean, it's like we need a little bit more depth to the NXT tag division. So I'm not sure if they maybe have some guys, kind of waiting in the wings from the Performance Center who they're kind of willing to bring up, to the weekly television shows for NXT.
There could be the Ely Brothers. We still are waiting for them to actually be more than just a jobber squad. So
yeah, that's one, and I've been waiting for those guys to get their opportunity because they've just pretty much been fed to AOP, and also they were fed to Samoa Joe as well while he was still down there on NXT. So I'm excited to see what those guys can do. They've got good look, good size twins once again. Something that you only see ever so often in the WWE. So moving on here to the ugly. So we probably, this match here featured the most variety of uglies out of anything that we saw on the TakeOver Chicago card. But there was one spot in particular where Johnny Gargano went head on with taking a ladder shot straight to the face. Dale, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, this was absolutely incredible. I was waiting for you to get to the other spot that we kind of picked out as an ugly when this spot happened, because I know you were a little bit delayed in the watching of the show.
That I was.
When AOP just picked up the ladder and just chucked it right in square in the face of Gargano as he pushes Ciampa out of the way, I was like, well, there is the top ugly from this match. That was a clean top of the ladder right to the face. I don't know how Gargano managed to actually continue in this match.
Yeah, he took his share of bumps. And the thing is, I was kind of looking at this match and comparing to the other matches that we've seen, ladder matches that be, the one that we saw at Supercard of Honor with the Hardys and the Young Bucks, the one that we saw, the Fatal 4-Way ladder match at WrestleMania 33. And I have to say, I think I put this one as like maybe 1A, right below the match between the Young Bucks and the Hardys from Supercard of Honor, because the other one that we saw at WrestleMania 33, it definitely was a strong offering, but it just was not quite to the level of intensity. And, just didn't have as strong a work rate as this match, because I could say, Johnny Gargano he truly worked his ass off during this match here tonight. So we're going to go ahead and move on here to the next match on the NXT TakeOver Chicago card. We had Glorious, and Dale, you're sporting a t-shirt.
Glorious.
So we had
another glorious night for Bobby Roode.
Yes, it was, taking on Hideo Itami for the NXT Tag Team, the NXT Championship, that being. The good here was the fact that Roode retained. And although it's about maybe a year or so late, Hideo Itami finally showed up to the party and kind of showed us some of his old flair, kind of from when he was over there in Japan, when he was known as Kenta. That guy brought it tonight. Dale, you agree?
Yeah, this is first main event action for Hideo Itami, because as they showcased on the pay-per-view itself, he has had two major injuries that it took him out. The shoulder surgery, which you can see the scar, and then right when he came back from that one, he got injured in a house show match on a move by Riddick Moss. So it just seems like we didn't know if we were ever going to get the Hideo Itami that everybody was hoping was going to come on to the NXT scene. He's finally healthy. Shinsuke's now up on the main roster, and now you have Hideo Itami's taking his spot on, and then you get into this match, and it was just nice to finally see Hideo Itami in that main event scene, and this match definitely delivered, and it kind of carries into the result, kind of carries us into the bad, and we kind of really, this being in Chicago, Hideo Itami uses the GTS. It kind of felt like if he goes over in Chicago using the GTS, a la CM Punk, even though most people don't realize that CM Punk stole the move from Hideo Itami, that it might come off bad in Chicago for Hideo Itami, who's supposed to be the good guy in the match.
And it's really something here, because there was a part of me, I remember the build-up and the package that they aired on Hideo Itami from, I want to say it was from WrestleMania, for maybe not from this past year, but maybe like about a year or so ago, prior to the injury. They were really building this guy up. And it seemed like Triple H was a huge fan of his. So I just had that small thought. I just said, would he possibly go over tonight over Bobby Roode just without utilizing the GTS out there in Chicago? Because that would be the only way that he would be able to receive a face reaction. But it's pretty obvious his time was not, now. I think that this feud continues, and it's a damn good feud that we're going to get out of these two. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of them moving on here. The ugly of this match, I must say, Bobby Roode absolutely took a beating in this one. When he was known as Kenta over there in Japan, he was known, Hideo Itami was just absolutely known for his snugness and his stiffness in the ring. And he slapped the dog's knot out of Bobby Roode, literally. I mean, there were a couple months where you literally saw the spit flying out of Bobby Roode's mouth with some of those vicious overhand slaps. What do you have to say about those, Dale?
Yeah, no, this was a good showcase of the strong style that Itami brings to NXT. Again, kind of being that guy that's going to replace Shinsuke on NXT for that style of match that he brings over. So really, we've seen Roode now work Nakamura, and now he's working Itami, and we're kind of all encompassing the same type of style. Tommy a little bit more aerodynamic than Shinsuke is, but definitely that set of punch slaps that he had was just absolutely brutal.
Yeah, definitely more of a traditional strong style approach from Hideo Itami, because Nakamura's, yeah, it's a little bit unconventional, but the fans just absolutely love it. So moving on here to the next match from NXT Takeover Chicago, we had for the NXT Women's title, Asuka, the champion, taking on Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross from Sanity. So the good of this one was strong showing out of all three of the female competitors featured in this match, yet the title remains in the hands of Asuka. Unlike the main roster, there's no game of hot potato being played here in the NXT. Isn't that right, Dale?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Which, as you said, commonplace has been SmackDown women and Raw women have been flipping the title back and forth on NXT. That is not happening. Asuka hasn't even lost yet since her debut in NXT. So that will be the interesting thing, is who's going to be the woman to tackle her, and that leads me right into the bad of this match, and the fact that Ember Moon was not in it is the bad for me, because once she was removed, I really felt like Asuka wasn't going to lose. The only person I feel right now in the women's division that can kind of be suited to be the champion or knock off Asuka right now is Ember Moon, and she wasn't even in this match, so that was the bad for me.
Without question, I 100% agree with you on that statement. Although I must say this, with her absence, both Ruby Riott and Nikki Cross were forced to step up. And I can say I'm very pleased with what I saw from out of both women during this match. I've seen hardly anything from out of Ruby Riott until this match, and she really kind of began to show her moveset a little bit. And she even is kind of developing a little bit more to her character. There was one spot in particular I remember where she kind of had, I believe it was Asuka, and she kind of like thrusted her. She had her legs on top of her shoulders, and she thrusted her right into the middle turnbuckle, I want to say. Actually, it was Nikki Cross who she did that to. And she just had this crazy look on her face. I was just like, yeah, so I'm seeing a little bit more furthering of her character development and her moveset. Also the same from Nikki Cross. Very strong showing out of her. We all know that she's the wild card, of the group Sanity. And that's saying something, especially when those other three psychos, are out there, doing what they do on a week-to-week basis. So, yeah, it's not very many, strong contenders for Asuka's title. It's amazing to me that Bill Goldberg was the one who had that long streak, going all the way, dating all the way back to WCW. Of all competitors that they chose to break that streak, it was Asuka. So that's saying a lot with the faith that they have in her, as the women's champion of the NXT brand. So moving on here to the ugly of this match, really, Dale, besides the fact that these two had to step up in this match, Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott, there's not really much else left in the women's division in terms of who's going to challenge Asuka next for the women's title. So the ugly of this has to be the state of the NXT women's division as a whole. Dale, what's your thoughts on that?
Take because as you looked at it, Asuka pinned both Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott in this match. Right. And the bad was no Ember Moon. So let's go take back to one of the weeks of NXT TV where they had the Battle Royal to decide the #1 contender, which ended up getting squashed thanks to Asuka. But you had the three women that were at the end of it that went on to that were supposed to go on to Chicago tonight and face Asuka. But the rest of the women in that Battle Royal, no clue who they were.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Liv Morgan. But really, to me, it's like she's just a Carmella knockoff. So,
yeah, you basically had some of the women who are probably still, kind of working their way through the Performance Center and just some other indie names that we're not quite familiar with. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see who they choose to kind of step up and be the next solid competitor to take on Asuka. So we're going to move on here to this amazing encounter here between the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne taking on Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate was defending his WWE UK title in this match. So, this really, in my opinion, I think several others will agree here, this was a match of the year candidate here from these two. Everything was on point. I'm talking about the commentary. They brought in good old JR to actually do the call on this one. The crowd was insanely hot. The action in the ring was just unbelievable. So Dale, I mean, we had a very hard time actually figuring out what the bad and what the ugly would be of this match because there were just so many good things to offer. What are your thoughts on this just absolutely breathtaking match between Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate?
So when I kind of look at this one, this is the third time that we've seen them. They absolutely killed it in the very first finals of the UK tournament. Then they had a rematch that was okay, but I definitely believe the third encounter was better than the second one and may have even topped their original. This one tonight was just absolutely phenomenal. This kid Tyler Bate is just an outstanding talent. Just think that he's only 20 years old. The future for him is very, very bright. And obviously we are not done with these two. Now that Pete Dunne is the UK champion, you got to feel like we're going to see a fourth bout between these guys because Bates got to get his rematch. So definitely looking forward to this one just because these two definitely have a great in-ring chemistry. They absolutely deliver. And again, like I said, it's like Tyler Bate to me just amazes every time he steps in the ring because some of the things that he does, you wouldn't think that he could do. He definitely shows off some strength that he's got for a guy that's so tiny because literally if he was on the main roster, he's in the cruiserweight division. But he can do some aspects of Cesaro with his leg strength. And then he goes and does the top rope moves and the dives that you don't really kind of expect from a guy that looks like he does, which I'm not trying to say that guys that look like that can't do that stuff. It just wasn't anticipating an aerial attack from a Bate when I first saw him come onto the scene.
Yeah, and I saw things out of him tonight that I had never seen from him from an aerial standpoint. I don't ever recall him using the standing shooting star press, nor what I believe was actually AJ Styles' move that he used early on in his career, the spiral tap. I know Nigel had said it was a corkscrew 450, but it was more like the spiral tap that AJ used to use. Yeah, I mean, this guy has got, not only, like you said, the strength and the talent, he's got the crowd. The crowd was really kind of 50-50 tonight, I would say, but usually they're pro Bate. Now moving on to the bad here. This is, the only thing that we could possibly point out. Now that these two have set the bar as high as they have within the UK division, who in the hell else can even come close to topping what these two can do? Now, we know about Mark Andrews. He's pretty strong. And then the other two guys that they had on the stage with them when they kind of were introducing the fact that we were going to be doing this UK show, I believe, was Trent Seven and Wolfgang. Those guys, they're good, but they're, I'd say, about maybe a step or so behind these guys. So I guess we have to ask ourselves, who else is going to step up to the plate and possibly, give us something anywhere near what we saw from these guys the last couple of times? Dale, any thoughts on that?
I don't know. And it's also still trying to figure out who exactly is going to be in the UK division because there was the Tyler Bate, Jack Gallagher match from NXT TV. It's like if Jack Gallagher is going to kind of make some appearances on the UK show and kind of do 205 live stuff, that would be kind of interesting. But if Jack Gallagher is going to do that, are they going to use any other kind of smaller roster guys to put on the UK show? So that's kind of where you're left with. Right now, I would say no, but if they throw in some guys that we're not expecting to be in the division, then there's the possibility that you could get another solid match.
Yeah, definitely. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this thing all comes together here. But moving on to the ugly, I would say about the only thing that I could even remotely point out is ugly during this match. Bate had somewhat of a nasty landing after he executed one of his dives to the outside. I think it was a suicide dive particularly, where he almost went head first, like literally right into the arena floor. So Dale, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, when I saw that one, it reminded me of the Undertaker's top rope splash at WrestleMania where the cameraman missed. That said cameraman was later fired for not catching the Undertaker. That one just highlighted that spot because obviously Dunne moved out of the way because he's supposed to move out of the way, but that just leaves Tyler Bate to go crashing almost head first, literally into the mat. So
totally off topic here. Name who was the cameraman? Who was the wrestler who portrayed the cameraman that was supposed to help?
Oh, I know it's the son of some big time legend, but I can't remember.
Sim Snuka. It was
Okay.
Jimmy Snuka's son. Yeah, that's who was portraying the cameraman who was supposed to kind of help break Taker's fall. And then, as you said, didn't work out, and he was walked out the door not too long after that. So moving on here to the first match of NXT Takeover Chicago, we had Eric Young, the leader of Sanity, taking on one Mr. Roderick Strong. So the good here, Roderick comes out looking strong. You like that, Dale?
Yes, I did.
In a convincing victory.
Pun intended.
Yes, in a convincing victory here against a quality opponent. So what do you have to add to that, Dale?
No, this is definitely a good showing. We obviously, if you know the history of Roderick Strong, and you watch the last couple NXTs, like where they did the package on him, where they even admitted openly about his success in Ring of Honor, you know how good Roderick Strong is. If you know the history of Eric Young, you know that he came from Impact Wrestling, didn't really kind of get the respect he was due over there, is now in NXT, leader of Sanity. This match definitely delivered. Roderick Strong is a name that everybody in NXT needs to understand who he is, because I do believe he's probably going to be the next contender to the NXT Championship if it's not Tommy again.
Yep, agree with you on that. The Messiah, the Backbreaker, is finally, getting his due in NXT. Now, he's getting his due, and he was made to look, as I said, once again, very strong in that match. But Sanity, on the other hand, was not. In their moment as one of the, the more dominant stables, not only just in NXT, but in the WWE, is kind of beginning to fade a little bit, because it was basically, Roger Strong against the three members of Sanity, because each one of them kind of took their shots at him when they had their chance to. So what do you have to say about that, Dale?
Yep. The bad here is that Sanity's momentum has slowed from when they first came in, because Eric Young lost the steel cage match to Ty Dillinger, and now he loses here at Chicago to Roderick Strong. So you're like, where? And then obviously going way back, Sanity took a defeat to AOP in the Dusty Rhodes Memorial Classic.
Yeah.
So it's like they've kind of at their highest moment lost. That was before Killian Dane came in, but that's just kind of the thing is, where is Sanity right now? It's like Eric Young, the leader, has lost his last two feuds. So you're kind of like, I feel like this is supposed to be a group that's supposed to have Eric Young be a title contender. And right now I don't feel like he is anywhere near being able to be a title contender, even though he wouldn't contend because you won't do a bad guy versus a bad guy though. So
yeah, that's an interesting dynamic there. And the other part of it is too, how is it that when Sawyer Fulton, who's a much less stronger worker than Killian Dane, when he was in the stable, that they have more momentum behind him? Because if you ask me, if you take Killian Dane and Sawyer Fulton and put them side by side, Killian Dane is such a much stronger worker. It's not even funny. I know some people are kind of down on him because he took the one-wing angel finisher that Kenny Omega uses over there in New Japan. But I actually kind of dig it. I just don't get the name, the Ulcer Plantation or whatever they call it. But yeah, I mean, moving on here to the ugly of this match, mentioning Killian Dane here, we just kind of have him as being the ugly. And one moment in particular during that match that I can say that stands out, that crossbody on the floor. Wow. That was like, it was like literally watching one of them 747s fly through the air there, Dale. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that was a pretty vicious move. It's more so the thing of it's the running thing. Every time he wrestles in a singles match, it's like the crowd gets the shave your back thing. No offense. The dude is a monster in the ring. Unbelievable talent. But the grizzly bear look is kind of where I was going with there. But yeah, that crossbody that he delivered to Roderick Strong on the outside was definitely a pretty big blow for a guy that size to kind of be doing one of those moves.
And Dale, it's kind of funny because I'm totally on the bandwagon with you here now, because I'm always the one who's comparing, who people look like and whatnot. You had said that Killian looked like he could be the third member of War Machine from ROH, and I am 100% agree with that. Yeah, that's what he reminds me of. He just, look-wise, he just does not fit in with that group. He just doesn't. I don't know. They've kind of made some alterations here lately, but like I said, when I just said, yeah, this guy looks like he belongs more in the Wyatt family than in a post-apocalyptic, group of psychos like Sanity. But it can develop over time. So now it's that time of the hour, Dale. We had our chance to review each one of these matches here. What is your grade, or what is your rating that you would give NXT Takeover Chicago on a no gimmick scale?
Oh, it's a tough one. I was trying to, because when I was thinking about this, and I thought it was just going to be the 4 matches, because Tommaso Ciampa had the injury and everybody was concerned that the ladder match wasn't even going to happen. And actually, and the way that it all unfolded, you're like, wow, it actually was a big deal that Tommaso Ciampa made this match, and the fact that he turned heel on Johnny Gargano, because if they scrapped this whole entire match, it's like you've just lost the breakup of a DIY. But since that match happened, when I thought it was just going to be the 4 matches, I was kind of sitting at a 3, because Roode and Tommy was good, but I really thought the standout match was Bates and Dunn until the ladder match happened, and then that one elevated it. This to me is probably one of the better efforts out of NXT, so I've got to grade it pretty high. I wish I could remember the last NXT grade though. So I'll just say right now 3.25, because I think it probably could be better than that one, but I'll go right there.
I'm going to go a lot higher on this one than you. I'm going to say a 4.25. And my reasoning is there wasn't really a whole lot about this show that I did not like. In terms of my expectations for this one, in terms of, each match here delivered. There wasn't really any match here that disappointed me in any way, shape, or form. Results-wise, I can honestly say I almost would have been, just as satisfied if DIY would have captured titles and they would have stayed together. Because like I said, one concern that I have about this, besides the state of the UK title, is where the NXT tag division is going to go. Now that they've split those guys up. So, yeah. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of NXT Takeover Chicago. I know Dale and I could sit up here and talk wrestling all night long, but we've unfortunately got to wrap this episode up. So thank you for tuning in for this episode of No Gimmicks Podcast. We are no gimmicks, no image, all wrestling all the time.
I'm going 3.5. You did it to me again, making me have to pick first.
Yes, I did. I got you, Dale.
All right. Later.
Please subscribe to our official YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/The No Gimmicks Podcast. Please make sure that you subscribe publicly so that way we are aware of your support. Check out Craig Perkins' articles on ProWrestling.com. We would like to hear from our viewers, so please leave us some feedback in our comment section. Also, please like our Facebook and follow us on Twitter at The No Gimmicks PC. Remember, sharing is caring. Feel free to share the links to our episodes with other pro wrestling fans on your social media accounts as well. That does it for this episode of No Gimmicks Podcast. For my tag team partner Dale Clifford in Fernley, Nevada, this is Todd Smith in Bristol, Connecticut signing off. Until next time around, y'all take care.